Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 18 of the anime series Arslan Senki, or the Heroic Legend of Arslan. And wow, this episode really just shows us how much of a turncoat Rajendra truly is. The infidelity of family and that whole thing, even as his father is dying in bed, he promises to let his father sort of drift off peacefully without worry, that he'll send Gedivi away to a temple, not put him to death, not, seek revenge for all the things he's done. And he is such, the actor, the performer, that he's even fooled himself, as Narcissus points out, when finally their father does die, and, the entirety of the kingdom of Sindura is all showing up for this, funerary procession. And here you have Rajendra just pouring out the tears. Maybe there's some of that is, deep-seated and true, that he's going to miss his father or whatever, but his, sort of obsession with power and being in control, and now having ascended the throne, all bets are off as far as his leadership. It's all in the bag. He's gotten it all in the bag for himself with Arslan and Arslan's posse's help. And so they throw a banquet because it's part of like Sindarin culture to throw a banquet, a royal banquet, if you will, when there is going to be as a precursor to a royal execution. In this case, Gedivi, he's going bye-bye, whether he likes it or not. And we see just the bloodlust that, is representative in both of these brothers. It's neither one of them was any good, really. But for Rajendra to have promised this to his father, and then immediately, it's all bogus. We're putting Gedivi to death. And of course, Gedivi is there, and he sees Arslan come in, and as far as he's concerned, it's Arslan's fault that he lost, that his people faltered, all of this stuff with Daryun in the battle before the gods, and it not working out in his own favor. He killed Mahendra and all this kind of stuff. So there's just spite and bloodthirstiness between these two brothers, and he lunges at Arslan. He is caught by guards and everything at the last second. Azrael the eagle comes in, bites his nose and all this stuff, that like ice pick nose on this guy. And right then and there, does Rajendra, forget the party, off with his head. And very dramatically, I thought, they show like the close-up of that head being on display now for all to see. This is now the hierarchy of the kingdom. We're not fooling around. And they pull back, and you see just, the sky, the blank sky, as a slate, now wiped clean behind it. And that's representative of the fact, there are like almost storm clouds. And I thought it was very poignant that, because, of course, the storm is now on the horizon with Rajendra in control. And he and Arslan get to talking about, strategy and how is he exactly going to go back and try to, reclaim Pars and Ekbatana and all this stuff. And if he were Lusitania's faction, he would think about, using the Turks over here and these guys over there, and try to get them to bridge their gaps into, the Parsian country or whatever, and just keep everything at odds, keep everything battling to whittle down the Parsian forces and make them very sort of easily beaten, that kind of situation. And Narcissus, as Arslan points out, has already pointed all this out, and he's got 7 different ways to make sure that doesn't happen, which Rajendra's just taken aback by, and he wants to know more. He thinks of himself as a strategist because, he's basically resting on his laurels, the success that he's had that isn't even by his own hand. He's had Daryun and, Narcissus and Arslan and all these other people doing it for him. And so we see, the turncoat nature then comes to the fore. He's promising Arslan all these troops, 3,000 of my military troops. You were asking for like 500, I'm giving you 3,000. And the whole idea, the whole aspect, much as is to be expected, is to take down Arslan's faction from within and then capture Arslan for his own benefit. He wants very much the Parsian land. he wants that countryside. He wants it all for himself. Forget just Cinderella. Now he wants the world. And because you have Jaswant overhearing this, Narcissus already suspected there would be some, confrontation along this line. But with Jaswant's help, they know exactly when it's going to happen. And they completely fake him out. In their camp, they set up these bonfires to make it look like, Rajendra's people have succeeded. But of course, he walks right into his own trap. And we see once again Arslan not immediately going for killing my enemy, making my enemy my friend in a sense, forcing Rajendra to, he can either come back to Ekbatan at Pars, and be in a dungeon for 2 years, or he can sign a contract that says he's going to leave us alone for 3, which he does immediately. He agrees to, and off they let him go. And that's intriguing to me, offer him 2 years, but get 3 out of him. And the whole psychology there is that because, of course, he's still going to be chomping at the bit to get at Pars at some point in the future. 3 years is analogous to just, a wink of an eye as compared to the 50 or 100 years that, Elfriede is asking Narcissus, why didn't you just get him to sign for that? Because this guy is always going to be wanting more land. More places to conquer. He's a pompous a-hole, And it's brilliant that it worked out that way because in the midst of all of this, we finally have the question answered as to how Jaswant becomes officially part of Arslan's posse. Arslan rescues him from the dungeon, and he puts forth this idea, work alongside me, work alongside my people. And because, you've kind of been disbanded from your own country, he still holds within himself. I thought this was really interesting and speaks to the honor of Jaswant as a person. He still holds that sort of reflective honor on his country. He'll fight on the side of his country should they and Pars ever go head-to-head again because of the loyalty to his homestead. But he still, in this moment, by the end of this episode, professes his willingness to become part of Arslan's posse and work alongside him and aid in his effort. And in that, we see Arslan has collectively brought in another honorable, respectable human being who sees that he is as much honorable, respectable, compassionate, and all these things. And it's just freaking awesome. With all of the drama and the death and just... It was bewildering to me to see Rajendra go this far. And, I'm thinking if I were in Arslan's place, I would be really peeved. But it's one of those cultural things. It's like the Star Trek aesthetic. You go to an alien world, you got to kind of learn to deal with, they have their own culture. They do things their own way. You can't come in and intervene. Like, it's you who has the final say on how things play out in life and culture and all this stuff. You can't sort of force your own culture on another, And so it's been surprising to me that we saw just how far Rajendra would go and just how sort of greasy and scummy and a scumbag that he is, to the point where he lied bold-facedly to his own dying father. He lies to all of his people by showing that he has, any concern in the wake of it, in the end of his father's life. And then he immediately displays the death of his own brother to show his power and how consumed he is with it. And this is now not enough by the end, as I say. Sindura is not enough. I want Pars. I want Lusitania. I want all these things. And that, it was, utmost compelling to me. And to see, of course, Narcissus and Jaswant and Arslan and all these, guys, all of Arslan's posse coming together. Once again, it was just riveting. At least for me. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 18 of Arslan Senki. If you agree with me, if not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Love having the conversation with you guys. And so yeah, I can't wait to see where we go from here. Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well. And I'll catch you all later. Peace.